Deep within the limestone of southwestern France, the Hall of Bulls stretches across the cave ceiling. These figures, painted 17,000 years ago, display a scale and anatomical precision that challenges our modern definitions of primitive art. In 1940, archaeologist Henri Breuil attempted to explain this grandeur through the lens of hunting magic. He argued that by painting these animals, Ice Age hunters were performing a ritual to manifest a successful kill in the physical world. This consensus lasted for decades, until researchers looked closer at the trash left by the artists. They found a massive logical flaw known as the reindeer paradox. Excavations of the cave floor reveal that reindeer provided the vast majority of the artist's protein. Yet across 6,000 images on these walls, the reindeer, the very animal they relied on for survival, is almost entirely missing. If the cave isn't a magical grocery list of preferred prey, its true purpose must be recorded somewhere more private, hidden in a location that was never meant for a general audience. To find it, you have to leave the grand galleries and navigate a dangerous, narrow drop. This is the shaft, a vertical 17-foot pit at the very back of the cavern. At the bottom of this pit, the style of the cave shifts. In the center of this panel sits the only human figure found in the entire complex. The scene is a chaotic triptych. A bird-headed man with an erection falls backward, seemingly gored by a disemboweled bison, while a rhinoceros moves away to the left. Below the man, a bird sits perched on a stick. This drawing lacks the majestic, polished finish of the bulls upstairs. It is sketchy, violent, and focuses on a human-animal interaction that appears nowhere else in the cave. The difficulty of reaching this spot suggests the artwork was a secret. It poses a central mystery. Why would an artist risk their life to hide this specific story in the dark? To understand the secret in the pit, we have to re-examine the animals in the main galleries. Modern research suggests these aren't just pictures, they are data points. Every animal is depicted with biological markers that correspond to their specific mating cycles. The horses, for instance, are painted with the thick, shaggy coats they only grow during the early spring. The abstract marks near these animals provide the proof. These rows of dots and Y symbols act as a proto-writing system, a lunar calendar used to track the reproductive timing of the herds. The upper cave functions as a sophisticated scientific database, proving that these people were obsessive observers of the natural cycles that governed their world. But the hidden shaft scene doesn't follow this biological logic. In the total darkness of the pit, the scientific mindset of the upper cave seems to give way to something else. Deep cave passages function as natural sensory deprivation chambers. In these environments, the human brain often generates vivid hallucinations, which anthropologists link to shamanic trances. From this perspective, the bird-headed figure isn't a dying hunter. He is a shaman wearing a ritual mask, captured mid-transformation. The bird on the stick represents his spirit helper, a guide used to navigate the trance's underworld while interacting with the bison's spirit. If the upper cave mapped the physical world, the shaft mapped the internal one, a record of a journey into the human psyche. However, researchers realized that the spirit world the shamans were visiting had a physical location, the sky. They found that the bizarre positioning of the figures in the shaft mirrors the layout of the stars overhead. This is the summer triangle, an asterism, or prominent pattern of stars, made of Vega, Deneb, and Altair. 17,000 years ago, these three stars aligned exactly with the eyes of the man, the bird, and the bison. When we overlay these constellations onto the shaft scene, the narrative reveals itself. The bison corresponds to Taurus, and the 6 dots beneath the rhinoceros align with the Pleiades star cluster. By fixing these figures to the stars, the artists created a cosmic clock. It allowed them to track the solstices and predict the peak of meteor showers across the Ice Age night. In this single hidden scene, biology, shamanism, and astronomy converge. The shaman wasn't just dreaming, he was anchoring his spirituality to the observable movements of the universe. The shaft scene functions as a dense, multimedia text. It was likely an initiation site, where the next generation was taught that the rhythms of the earth and the movements of the stars were parts of the same story. This evidence forces us to reject the idea of the primitive caveman. The people who painted Lascaux possessed a cognitive architecture and an intellectual curiosity identical to our own. They had already mastered the transition from simple survival to complex cultural expression millennia before the first permanent settlements were ever built. They crawled into the deepest, darkest reaches of the earth specifically so they could find a way to map the infinite expanse of the heavens. The human drive to find meaning and tell stories has been a constant since our very beginnings, recorded forever on these limestone walls.